Welcome to another episode of the Inalienable Right Guys. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by...
Now, what do we have here? Oh, a ballot.
A ballot.
Let's check it out. Let's see.
They're endowed
What's
by...
in here? Endowed by... Oh, yeah.
The thing.
The thing.
You know the thing. We dub this chicanery. Chicanery is defined as trickery that's used to achieve a certain political or financial outcome. We feel that there's some chicanery going on. There's a bat in the belfry. We feel that, as the old boy said, a whole lot of shaking going on. We feel like a whole lot of shaking going on. And I was reflecting on this today, and I thought to myself, I don't want to sound like a sore loser. I don't want, to sound like some that I've been... I can't take a loss, but this is unlike anything we ever seen. This is just outright cheating in my estimation. And I got my inalienable right brother here, Mark, and he's gonna run down some facts for us. And you make, as the NFL say, you make the call. But really, when I went to work today, I had to put out a lot of little fires of the haters and everything and it dawned on me, it's like an epiphany as I start to break down and try to explain statistics and reason why I feel this way, and those that was just floating was looking at me like a deer in the headlight, and then they said, and then epiphany hit me in the head, said corruption cannot root out corruption. So why, as I'm trying to explain to the corrupt about how corruption works, so that gave me pause to think about it and wait on the outcomes and just to continue to let you know that me, Mark, and myself, we'll be fighting for these inalienable rights, and we'll be still brothers to the end, thick and thin. So don't worry about us. We in a good spirit. And again, like I said, one more thing before I hand it over to Mark. When I were watching the results in real time, and I saw what was going on, I could only think about 9/11. Another New York tragedy. What they're trying to do to this New Yorker, and as they did to the Twin Towers, and that pit in my stomach hit me, and I'm slowly overcoming that because we know that God's in charge.
Amen to that. Well, you call it chicanery, I call it straight up bullshiggity, because that's what it is. There is some stuff going on. It's so hard to believe some of the craziness.
Yes.
But I went through today looking at some of the stuff, and Michigan, what is going on in Michigan is just straight up crazy.
Wow.
So I've got a ton of notes here. So I think most people have probably seen where there was a ballot, or one of the poll watchers or whatever in Detroit, and the story goes, it was, they decided to close everything down, and I guess she had been inside the building, and there was like still a bunch of people there. She left, but decided to come back. And when she got back, the place is supposed to be closed. There's still a ton of people milling around. And so she went in and checked things out, and people just kind of doing whatever. And I guess she went back outside, and a van pulled up, and the guy gets out, starts building out this little wagon, and starts putting boxes in it. And then from then on, she watched, and there was coolers and suitcases and people bringing in stuff, pillowcases, I think they said.
Oh, wow.
Full of ballots. And so 130 ballots arrived from 3 different vehicles in the middle of the night. And guess whose name was on them?
Not the thing. The thing?
The thing. Yeah, they were all for Biden.
Right. Yes.
And that's just crazy.
Yeah, because it's not reflective of the crafts that we've been seeing and all the followings that the president been having.
So here's some other things I saw.
Okay.
So article on Michigan. I'm not sure exactly where this was, but a bunch of ballots turned in with no names on them. No names whatsoever.
So they wasn't certified.
Of course not. Yeah.
So they was counted?
Apparently so. Then another one, another election clerk. I think they were at home, but they were watching it, and or no, maybe not. This one actually was there, and said that the total votes counted by the election software that's supposed to count the votes didn't match what the printed tabulations were on the vote machines. Then another one, Detroit precinct chair says that ineligible ballots were being counted, as you know. Then, and they're also in Michigan. U.S. Postal Service worker has alleged that they had a directive from their superiors to backdate late ballots. So ballots that come in after November 3rd, they were stamping them. I think I heard that on the radio a little bit ago, that they were actually, somebody called them on it, they were stamping ballots.
And this still in Michigan?
Yeah, this was still in Michigan. In one place in Michigan, there were four voters that voted that were born before 1902. Apparently, the oldest person, I don't know if it's the oldest person alive,
118
is 1903.
Okay.
So they're even older than that. Another one, a guy that died in 1984, voted for Biden.
That figures.
Yeah. Earlier, like last week or something, there was an election worker, an article on an election worker that found a box of 500 ballots for people that aren't even on the voter rolls. It's all in Michigan. Then in St. Clair County, this was an interesting one. I did the math. Okay, in St. Clair County, Michigan, last census said there's 163,040 people. Okay.
Okay.
Now, according to that census, 23.7% of those are under 18. Okay, so you figure, about 24% of the population, the demographics of that area. That would mean there would be 125,163 adults in that county.
Okay.
125,000. But the county clerk, they have down that there's 134,248 registered voters.
That's insane.
So there's more registered voters than there is adults in the county.
Excluding the ones under 18.
Right. And so far, 92,670 voted. Now, I mean, that would still have to be probably every registered adult that actually lives there, But yeah, the numbers don't add up. If it's only 163,000 people, right, and only 125,000 are adults, and you got 135,000 or 134,000 registered voters, math don't add up.
Yeah, let me break in before you give some more statistics. Rose by any name is still a rose. You can put a lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig. And what Mark is citing here is empirical evidence that there's cheating, and he got a name for it, and I call it chicanery. And I guess I'm being polite, but it's trickery. It was obvious, Mark. It was so obvious. When we last did the eve of the election, we thought we'd be back here with the balloons and the celebration because all the tea leaves were the same. All the greatest pundits and the greatest predictors predict, and the crowds and everything was indicative of a landslide. And if you look at the red map, it still shows a red wave. And if you look at how we took some of the Congress seats and they're trying to steal the Senate with every last breath in their body. But if that happens, there goes the neighborhood for real, for real. So I just want to take a break in here and let you know that again, the inalienable right still fighting for their rights, and as long as we have a valiant president such as Donald J. Trump doing what he do, we're confident that he's that ship, and if he ain't going down, we're gonna sail right along with him. So I'm gonna give it back to Mark on the statistics, but I just wanted to interject that.
So both Michigan and Wisconsin had nearly a 90% voter turnout, 90%. which they said is, I can't remember the correct way that they described why that could not be.
Okay.
But they said that's statistically impossible for them to have that much. Texas had 69%. I think a couple.
That's
maybe
you're talking about the entire population.
Yeah,
those
like
that
I guess, yeah.
The rich.
So that's crazy. All right. So also Wisconsin, there were 7 wards in, I think, were they around? I'm trying to remember where they were around. Milwaukee, I think, reported more voters or more votes than registered voters. 7 wards in around Milwaukee. More voters or more votes than voters. So that ain't. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just it's all these places is the same thing. Georgia, they stopped counting in the evening, and when they stopped, by the next morning they had 94% of the votes in, and Trump was up by 102,000 votes.
Okay.
24 hours later, they're up to 98% of the vote, and Trump's only up by 18,000. So 4% came in overnight, and almost, three-quarters of them were for Biden. Yeah. And there was a deal where the Dems were trying to get volunteers to come in and go door to door to help people fix their mail-in ballots and bring them back after the election was over.
That's again, the only word I can say. That's insane.
Yeah. So they were bringing back altered ballots
after the election.
Both Georgia, one of the places had a water main break to stop people from voting, and in Louisiana, several of the places needed generators because they had lost power, and so that stopped several people. Different polling places. They didn't have enough generators, so that was keeping people from voting.
Did you read the one? Did you record the one where they had the Sharpie?
Yeah, that was in Arizona. That's the Sharpie Gate thing. Now, supposedly they came back and said that the Sharpies would work, but at the same time, it's just the way they did things. Supposedly they came out and said, well, we told everybody several weeks ago that this was what we were going to do and blah blah. But people were just saying it was really fishy that if you had a pen and you tried to use a pen, they would take the pen away from you and give you a Sharpie. And then in one of these polling places, there was actually a guy standing outside the poll handing people pens and telling them to use a pen and don't use a Sharpie. And I know one of the ladies said she thought she noticed that the Sharpie would bleed through to the other side, causing problems.
I would see that. I could see that on the thin ballot.
So yeah, I don't know about that one. Let's see. North Carolina, there was a official said that they wouldn't have any results. They wouldn't give the results of North Carolina until after the 12th, which would prevent Trump from getting 270 votes.
And then Nevada, I heard that Harry Reid has the Harry Reid army is over the counting. Harry Reid, the most violent, violent Trump hating.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, especially Las Vegas.
Yeah, Nevada. And I heard where Trump sent his legal team down there to try to go in and watch the counting, and they wouldn't let him in. So a junction,
places reported
a junction came down from the court that said let him in, and they still didn't. They broke the law. So they went beyond and went to the Nevada Supreme Court. Nevada Supreme Court upheld the decision not to let him in.
Right.
What they scared of? I mean, what's
exactly? Yeah.
Yeah,
because that same one in Detroit, after that happened, they started bringing in those ballots. They started boarding up or putting paper up on the windows and stuff so you couldn't see in. There's no transparency.
Yes, exactly.
They don't want you to see what they're doing.
Exactly.
There was a tweet that went out about a man, they don't know where it was, and they don't know for sure or not, but I don't know if you saw that, where he claims he's got 80 Trump ballots, and he pours gas on them and sets them on fire.
I heard
see that?
I heard.
See. Pennsylvania, 23,277 votes found out of thin air, all 100% for Biden. 100%. Again, that's a statistical impossibility.
That's exactly right. He couldn't direct a 3-car funeral.
No.
How you gonna get 100%? You know what I mean? Come on, man. I'm doing one of his numbers now. Come on, man.
Then you just see the guy in Nevada that won in, I guess it's Clark County. Mm-hmm. The guy comes in there, got a beer and freedom shirt or something on that.
No,
he comes in. Oh yeah, he went in. They were having a press conference, and he went in there was yelling that the Biden crime family was stealing the election, and the media was covering up. He says it probably a half a dozen times. You can tell he's hot too.
Yeah,
he's yelling, telling him, and then he leaves
and you touched on something about being hot, and I've seen these emotions were swinging in me back and forth, for the last couple of days, and so it's some angry people. I mean, legitimately angry individuals, and this is so obvious to a logical mind such as ours are concerned. We are not asking for nothing but fairness, nothing but. And when I was watching it the night of the election, and I stayed up pretty late, and I was watching some Fox what they were doing. They was calling Biden's and then Trump's up to 300,000 votes, and 65-70% of the votes are in, and they wouldn't call it, but they was quick to call. Biden has taken this, and Biden has taken it. They were trying to build a momentum.
Yeah, and that was really strange. And I was watching. I probably watched 5 different streams, different things. I was watching, OAN, Fox for a minute. Then I go to all these others just to see. I even went to the Young Turks just to see what they had to say about things and just see what was going on. But like a couple of them were talking about how many people were getting mad at Fox News. And you and I know everybody on the left wants to claim that's all we do is watch Fox News.
Right.
You Fox News watchers. Well, look, I don't hardly ever watch Fox News. I will occasionally watch something, but for the most part, I don't. I get my stuff from other places. And because I think you get much more fair reporting, objective reporting from a whole lot better places than any of the mainstream media. And that's the problem. The main antagonist in all of this is the mainstream media.
Right, they paid.
But what happened with Fox, was just crazy, because they were coming out as soon as the state opened up. If it was a blue state, man, that's Biden. He's got it. And then the red states like Georgia and Texas and Florida, man.
Hang on.
Yeah.
We can't call it right now.
They left it. Yeah, they left it for hours without calling it. And it's like, what are you doing?
And it's funny you say that, because I said let me switch over to somewhere I never go with CNN, and they were more balanced than Fox was. And that's
crazy.
And that's saying a lot. When they
that's
were
looking at upside down.
When they were looking at the electoral scores, they had about a 10-20 point difference than Fox had. And I was saying, how could this be? But again, like you were saying about Fox, I pretty much start winging myself off of it. I was pretty stout with it, and Tucker Carlson and the likes. But sometimes I realize we might be getting played in more ways than we care to admit.
Well, and that's true. That's true. I mean, you don't know. I mean, there's just so much corruption out there, and I don't care what side you're on. We should not be allowing this corruption to take place. I thought 2016 was crazy, and I'm thinking, that's something. I don't know what it's going to take. Is it going to take an amendment or what? But something to make our elections pure and genuine and, validated. Because all this stuff, I mean, the president said it a few months back that that's what they were going to do. That they were going to, all these mail-in ballots, that it was just going to cause utter chaos. And it's exactly what's happening in most of these places. Arizona. They didn't count any of the election day results. All they had in was the early voting.
And called it that.
Called it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they didn't even count any election day votes and whatever they got in on election day. They pretty much just said, okay, this is it. And it's like, wait a minute. And I saw some interviews with different people from, different parts of Arizona, mostly at Maricopa County. And they were talking like, there's no way. There's no way this could be correct. Mm-hmm. And they were calling out the corruruption too.
And
it's
this
like,
what
we
we
can't
have.
This.
This is what we have. I always say, if you pull the back off of Biden's, pull his shirt off of Biden's back, you'll see "Made in China" on there. This guy's been bought and paid for. And I was again discussing with some individuals today, and I said, "Don't you know what y'all asking for? The man told you he gonna raise your taxes. He gonna do away with the coal and fracking and the energy sector and raise it. Just any way he can harm us. Shutting down the country. This is what you are advocating, all in the name of hating Donald J. Trump. I mean, the hate is unlike anything that I've seen on this scale, and they'll forfeit. I was going to work today, and I looked up and I said, gas $1.63 a gallon. I said, man, that is beautiful. I want to, just visit people. I want to travel. And we're the number one exporter of oil now, and energy independent.
Yep.
These things, these are not just great. They're exceptional things that we now. Soon you put a man like what they think they gonna want to put back in office. I said, you ain't had no wars for about 4 years.
That's what I was gonna bring up.
So you finna get back at that Hormuz Strait and start messing with Iran again.
Yeah.
And messing with the Middle Eastern. They're gonna mess up the peace accords and.
Well, that's and then the Paris Climate Accord. He's already said he's going to join that. Dang good and well he's going to try to bring back the TPP, the trade with China and all that.
And the individual mandate in Obamacare coming back. This is all
Batacalf care. It's all about that Batacalf care.
He's gonna bring back that Batacalf care.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So is this what they're advocating? And when I explain it to them, they always think too long. Right? Yeah, but the orange man bad. But orange man bad. That's okay. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the other thing, like I say, we haven't had any wars. Brought back troops. Mm-hmm. They all said that when Trump got elected in the first place. That's the first thing. Oh, we're gonna go have a war. We're gonna have a war with Iran. We're gonna have a war with
North
Korea. All that. None of that.
Yeah, he made
nominated for
little
3 peace prizes over that.
Yeah, made little rocket man pack up his rockets and go home. Man, come on, man. Again, I'm disheartened. By knowing that our country. Marcus said it a while back. He said it actually last week about the 50-50 split and the little tinge of people in the middle who call themselves independents or undecided. And we are definitely. I can see that more of a whole half of a country that don't understand their prosperity and their liberties and their freedoms and they don't understand they pushing us towards communism and socialism And somebody said, you might as well start stacking up on food and tissue and all these things, because once he starts shutting down the economy again, things are finna get back rough. And this is not no scare tactic,
No.
This is something that the man been campaigning whenever he came out of his dungeon, or his basement, he been campaigning on this stuff, and evidently they weren't listening, and then his vice president, she really called it the Harris-Biden administration. That's the goal, when he go in, she come up, and then here come that super liberal agenda. So this, again, it's not, when you warn somebody, you love somebody, you know what I'm saying? This is not somebody telling you, hey, watch out, be scared, I'm trying to scare you, around every corner.
Right.
But we just saying, we was doing, I was doing, speaking individually, doing pretty fair, as far as my freedoms, my liberty, and my expectations. Me and Mark had a show last week on the future of our children and our grandchildren. This is about our future.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm still cautiously optimistic, but I know that there's a lot of stuff going on that's really smelly, and it's like, I don't know. I think he can pull it out, but at the same time, it's gonna be a battle.
Yeah.
And here's another thing. When I was talking about the election, it seems, why are we having, election day is election day.
November the 3rd.
Why do they, it's like somebody said, I don't remember who it was now, it might have been the president, said something about, it's not election week, not election month, it's election day.
That's exactly right.
And we already are getting, 2, and like here in Texas, they gave us 3 weeks early voting to get in there and vote. Everything should be done by election day.
I agree.
That ought to be it. Election day, you ought to be, okay, here it is.
That's a deadline.
This is the deadline. This is what it is.
Anything else?
And after that, forget it. Give them time to count everything. But you should have had, like Arizona and some of these other places, they didn't count whatever. You should have had all that counted beforehand, ready to go. So you can add that, and it's funny, somebody mentioned, I think it might have been Dr. T. Turley, I watched his video, and he mentioned that if you noticed how quickly most of the Republican-led states have their votes in.
That's exactly. And Texas being the beacon.
Yeah.
As a beacon.
I mean, look at how big we are, how big our population is, and yet got it done.
That's exactly.
But you see all these, Democrat-run governor, run states, and it's a mess.
Yeah. Again, chicanery arose by any other name as a rose, putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig, but Mark got some different adjectives for it, and I have to nod in agreement.
Can't remember where I got that from, but I like that bullshiggity. It's bullshiggity.
I got to nod in agreement, and just let the chips fall now, and we can just wait, and we just play the waiting game.
Yeah, we just see. It's going to go to the courts. Hopefully, you see some of these places, of course, the courts are run by, Democrat judges. So, some of these places, they're just going to turn around and say, oh, it's okay, some of the shenanigans. So most of these things probably end up in the Supreme Court.
That's what it looked like.
Which we knew that was going to be one of the things that made the appointment of ACB so important.
Right.
Because it'll end up,
and the deep state is so deep, deep state is so deep. Man,
that's it.
Gorsuch and Kavanaugh ain't 100%. Sure, they've been making some strange decisions in that Supreme Court lately. We already know about Roberts.
Yeah.
We know how he is. ACB though, I feel like she's solid. So one that they say we got a 6-3 majority, but we'll say a 5-4.
Yeah, more like 5-4. So yeah, I don't know, but that's probably where it's going to end up.
Yeah, and they couldn't help but do the right thing, and that is to count like Biden coming out there talking about, well, we want to count every vote, and Bondi out of Florida said, y'all missed that sleight of hand. That's why I call it chicanery. Mm-hmm. He said we want to count every vote. No, we want to count every legal.
Exactly.
He didn't say that. They when it comes to legal, they act like they got a brain freeze or they got a.
I did see something else where somebody said that some of these ballots that they're bringing in, mm-hmm. the official ballots mm-hmm. actually have, I don't know, people know that place I used to work, one of the guys there was a former Secret Service agent. And anytime we got fake money, you could take it to him. And because he'd get it to, back to Secret Service. That's where it goes. They're the ones that look into that. Counterfeit. Mm-hmm. And he said there's several identifiers of our money, that you can tell whether it's real or not. He said there's some really good fakes out there, but like the paper is a certain kind of paper. It's made with certain kind of fibers in it. Just several things. Mm-hmm. The ink and all this, it's all special. Mm-hmm. And so they were saying these ballots are the same way. They have their special ink and some kind of special embossing and special paper and stuff like that. That way, they said they're trying a bunch of these people will be bringing in fake ballots that have been printed in other countries or whatever and brought in and trying to pass them off. And that's what's going to happen is they're going to find these ballots in these places where they've got extra votes and all that kind of stuff, be able to distinguish. And they'll know that those aren't real. And that may be what happens in Detroit. They'll go in there and see that these ballots aren't the right type of ballot. Not only are they,
So they're not state by state responsible for the ballots. This come from the federal.
I believe so. That's what they were saying.
Earlier you was talking about putting them someplace to have a peer election. That's a good start right there. Yeah. That's an excellent start to have ballots that can be counterfeit, and then you can go in there and distinguish the fake from the real. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just heard that today that's the case. I'd have to do some more research on that. Like I said, I just saw somebody said something about it earlier today on something that I watched, and wow, that's interesting. So if they've got fake ballots in there that are not printed on the right kind of paper or whatever whatever they do. Like I said, I'm not sure what it is, but they can tell that they're not proper ballots. So.
Yes.
But anyway, so that all that being said, all that is they'll end up going to the courts.
Yes.
So we'll just see what happens.
Again, we went a little longer than we probably intended to.
We knew this one was going to be long. There's a lot to talk about.
Because that is.
We could probably go on for another hour.
Yeah. Mark got me with that bullshiggity.
Shiggity.
Because that's putting it mildly. Chicanery is a trickery that's used to achieve a certain corrupted goal, and on this scale, I guess you live and learn. As you grow, you see things, and you get older, you see more and more of it. But the corruption is on a massive scale, like anything we've seen.
It's getting fishy. Really fishy. All right, well, appreciate y'all watching, and hope you enjoy it. We'll keep at it. I got some feedback the last couple of days from some people that have said they really enjoy what we're doing, so I appreciate it.
And remember, if you can, hit like and subscribe.
Yeah. We're not gonna force you though, like we said in the first video. Hey, it's a free country. You want to subscribe. If you don't, that's cool too. But we just hope you enjoy watching.
And remember, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created with certain inalienable rights that are endowed by... Did I got it?
It's empty.
Oh.
No thing.
The thing.